Welcome back to the White Coat Club. My name is Lindsay, and I'm a counselor at MinPrep, and I'm here with Nicole, a fellow counselor at MinPrep. Today, we are going to talk all about kickstarting your summer as a 2026 applicant. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe to get more great BSMD and undergrad admission advice. All right, Nicole, tell us, what should kids be working on right now if they're going to be applying this upcoming cycle?
Yeah, it's a really exciting time. I feel like we say this all the time, it's never too early to start, but this is definitely the time that you should be
Mhm.
starting if you haven't already. So, something that I like to definitely focus on over the summer is let's look at extracurriculars. Continue to push for your extracurriculars. If you're doing something that you've done every summer, do it again this summer. Keep it going. Do not, decide like, oh, I'm just going to take some time and not continue. See if you can grow in those positions. See if you can take on leadership roles or get a little bit more involved in those things. Really as much hands-on opportunities as you can, especially if it's in your field of interest. If not, that's still fine. Like if you're still trying to get some volunteering or some shadowing, maybe not specifically in your major, that's still fine, but you should definitely be doing some things aside from just social endeavors personally.
Completely agree. Like you should be spending it productively. Not everything has to be like productive. You can absolutely still go to the beach with your friends, but that shouldn't be like the only thing you're doing. You should be doing probably like multiple different things. Unless you're doing, I know some of our juniors especially are doing really intensive, like 6 or 7 week research programs that are going to take a whole bunch of their time, a whole bunch of their summer. Obviously, that's going to be like your main focus, but as long as you are spending that time productively, I think and in a variety of ways, hopefully something major related, but not everything has to be major related is ultimately what we really want to see.
Yeah. And if you don't have something like specific, like a specific program lined up, that's totally fine. This summer will be busy with applications and preparing for those and, starting to complete those. But really managing your time, looking at your calendar and seeing like where else could I spend my time aside from, hanging out with friends.
Mhm. I think managing calendar is a smart move, and that bodes especially true for like your academics and testing. You want to, you don't necessarily have to start studying for your classes, but just be prepared for your senior year classes. Sometimes kids will have taken a year, like I've occasionally a kid have taken a year off of Spanish. So they do Spanish their freshman, sophomore year, they skip it their junior, and they're coming back to it their senior year for whatever reason. Maybe they couldn't fit it in. And so if
Mm,
that's the case, maybe do a Coursera course for free on Spanish or something along those lines. Or if you like really struggled with pre-calc and you're taking calc AB next year, maybe get a head start and just do like a once again like a quick little course on it just to get your brain working again. And then the other big thing too is if you haven't already done your SAT or ACT testing, now is like the last time to really do so. As we talked about before, you should be finishing your SAT or ACT by the end of your summer of your junior year. And so make sure to look at your college list and make sure that you do understand the testing requirements. A lot of schools are going back to testing. It seems to be a big push back to testing a little bit, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you are, I suppose. But I know that other schools and some state schools like Ohio State have reinstated their testing policies. And so make sure that you're looking on each individual website and looking at updated information for the 2025-2026 application cycle. I think a lot of schools were planning to evaluate their testing policies this year after
mhm.
like the pandemic. They were like, oh, we're going to do like a 5 year trial or so. And so this is the time. It's been 5 years already. And so I think a lot of schools are reevaluating and might go back to testing. So just check.
Yeah. And we just pushed out a podcast a couple weeks ago about SAT, ACT planning. So if you have more questions on that, definitely go check out that episode. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing the trend back to testing. Like you said, 5 years since the pandemic, which is crazy. But definitely something. Get yourself scheduled. If you're waiting for a test or get yourself registered, you would always cancel it. Because that August test, which we did say in the last podcast too, it fills up. So
and be realistic about where your score can improve.
Yes.
If you were scoring in the 1200s, if you think that if you're doing the exact same kind of testing strategy you did and you're going to magically improve to over 1500, I mean, it could happen, but I think we rarely ever see it happening. So just be
Mhm.
realistic. And if you do need an extra push, if you need tutoring, you need a class, there is nothing wrong with doing those. Or, significantly changing up your testing strategy just to make sure that you do get to that score you need, especially for our BSMD applicants.
Absolutely. And then figuring out your college list, deciding how you're applying to each school, not only on platform, but decision type. So early decision, regular decision, restrictive early action, really narrowing this down. I feel like you have been talking about this, planning for this. Now's the time to actually just sit down and say, this is where I'm applying.
Mhm.
It sounds scary, but by the end of the summer, your list should be pretty much finalized. There's always room for a little bit of wiggle, but you should absolutely know where you're planning to apply, especially for our BSMD students. If you haven't done so already, summer's a great time to get on campus. There's definitely not as many kids on campus, which you may not get that full experience, but get back on campus. If you've been there before, get on campus for the first time. It really helps the student conceptualize where they're going to go. And then it really helps with those why this school essays. If you've been there, you can look back at pictures and like kind of revisit the moment. I think the authenticity with the writing of why you want to go there is just so much stronger if you've been there.
It just like helps you understand a little bit more too about the school, like the size. Like a big state school might have like 30,000 kids that attend there, and seeing like the scope of this is going to take me, 20, 30 minutes to walk from the side of campus to the other one. Like seeing it is, I think, a good thing, and really being able to understand what you're getting into versus like a really small school where you're like, okay, this is three buildings basically, and this is kind of what I can expect
Yes.
to. So getting to see different sizes if you haven't done so already is really key.
Yeah, and seeing the neighborhood too. I mean, a lot of times I'll describe a school to someone else, like, oh, it's in like a really urban, part of town, and there's all these things nearby. And if you're not from that type of area, it really might be hard to kind of conceptualize it and grasp what that would feel like to live there. So get on campus.
Yeah, this is where you'll be living for the next 4 years, and so you do want to
Yeah.
make it right. Like some people don't think about that kind of stuff, or they're like, "Oh, I'll be happy everywhere or anywhere," which maybe is true. I think that you can always find happiness no matter where you're at, but it's always good to understand, and especially if it is your ED school, if you are committing, you want to make sure you are committing to a place that you understand really is what is happening.
I've also had some kids who are like, this is like kind of your last summer living at home and like being with your family. And they've done like road trips where you hit up a bunch of campuses and like kind of make a really cool experience out of it. So definitely something.
Yep, get out there, get some life experiences too, um, and see the campuses. But it does take time. And if you are already like going on vacation, like if you live in New York, but you're going to like Boston for a wedding, why not check out Northeastern or Boston College or Boston University or Harvard or whoever? You can also tack it on to any other like summer trips that your family already has planned too. Now, something else that you should start working on now is your college essays. Especially for our BSMD students, you will be writing a lot of essays. I think the average is somewhere between, I don't know, like maybe 60, upwards of 100, just depending on which schools you apply to and how many essays they had. Like I know UMKC usually has a fair few. Brown usually has like nine or so, 8 to 9 essays. Penn State has like four. And then some places like Case Western only have 2 essays. So you can kind of see how these essays really start to pile up. Now, they usually won't get finalized until August 1st or after August 1st, but there are definitely a lot of things that you can start working on now. Like, for example, the personal statement prompts have already been released for the 2025-2026 cycle, and they have stayed the same. I don't think there was a single change to them, and they really haven't changed too much over the past years. So you can confidently start working on your personal statement. You can begin brainstorming. It does take time to think about these types of things. And so the earlier you start, I really think the better. The Common App also opens up on August 1st, but you can create an account now. You can start to fill out like your demographic type information. Start entering in any awards that you think you're going to want to include or things like that, because essentially that information will roll over from year to year. So some of that busy work you can get done with before August 1st even hits.
Yeah, I mean, activity lists, definitely start filling out the Common App, definitely start figuring out if you have your list set, am I applying to all of these schools on Common App? Do all these schools take Common App? Do I have more than 20 schools? Because Common App only takes 20. So things like that is like all things you could absolutely be doing right now.
That's such a good point too about figuring out where schools are going to go and then reevaluating again after August 1st because some things might change too, but kind of map out which schools are going to go where. And then I think another essay you could probably confidently start on too is your why medicine if you're a BSMD student. A lot of programs do require somewhere around like a 500-word essay. So having kind of a loose draft already can be helpful. And then you can customize it from school to school, but you can, aim to start working on that one too. And then look at your college list, see what other recurring themes of essays you might see are. If you see quite a few schools want you to talk about a meaningful activity essay, write a draft of that. Even if one or two schools drop it, you'll still be able to use it in other areas. Or if you have like quite a few why major essays, kind of the same deal. Even if one or two schools drops it, you can still use it. So start by
Yeah.
planning ahead and getting going on that.
And come up with a system. If you work with us, we will give you a system.
Yes.
We use essay management systems, we use checklists, we use spreadsheets. Come up with a system that works for you. A checklist, a calendar, a spreadsheet, like, something that you're going to be able to track all this, and keep it consistent. Keep up with it. Like you've almost done all the hard stuff, right? Like SAT, ACT is done, your scores are good, your stats are good, all your extracurriculars, but keeping this organized and like your checklist and really understanding every single little step is such a hard part of it for a lot of kids. So find a process that works for you, set things in place, organize, things like that are really key.
Yeah. I always say that June is like my last favorite time for kids to sign up, like the last best time. If you can of course sign up with Moon Prep like later on in August and even September, but you are crunching a lot of work into a shorter period of time. I think June is like one of the best last times to sign up, just because we do have the whole summer ahead of us to work on all these essays. It takes time to grow them, and so the sooner you start working on them, if it's solo or with us or another company, the better for you, I think.
And building good habits takes time and it's important. You'll use these moving forward as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, time management. You definitely need good time management as like a pre-med student. So
Yes.
get on a good schedule, have that strong work ethic, and it won't fail you later on in life. Then one other thing you can start to work on too is scholarships. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
kids don't start thinking about this until it's kind of late in the game, like March or April, when they see like those tuition bills come in. But you can definitely start working earlier than that. And some scholarship deadlines will be all year round, to be honest. And so you can begin looking and applying for college scholarships. Some colleges also will have like certain deadlines you have to apply to. Like I know for University of Southern California, you have to apply. I think it's by like December 1st to qualify for a certain scholarship or maybe all of their scholarships. And so obviously if you do like regular decision, you would have missed that deadline. So paying attention to that when you're making your college list and understanding, oh, for like the trustee scholarship at Boston University, I need to apply by, November 1st, even if I'm doing regular decision, can help you plan ahead. But you can also look for like external, like non-school specific scholarships as well. If it's like the Coca-Cola scholarship or something that's open to kids in your particular area, those are things you can start looking at and have an understanding of later on too.
Yeah. Like I said, big scholarships typically have to happen a little bit sooner than,
Mm.
some of the smaller ones, some of the local ones. So definitely start to check those out.
And last, but definitely not least, I know we talked a lot about productivity and things like that, but make sure just to take care of yourself too. Like have good mental health, take care of your mental health, spend some time doing activities that you enjoy, even if it isn't productive. Um, Application season is really long, so you need to stay mentally healthy as well in order to make it through. It's definitely both a marathon and a sprint, is what I always say. And so you do have to have good endurance, I think, and a strong mental health to get to the end. And then I know Nicole, you already said this, but setting realistic goals, I think, is really key too.
Yes. Yeah.
So many.
Figuring out a plan. I love a calendar, and like some of those early summer planning meetings with students is talking about, okay, so all of June, like what is your goals per week and then per month?
Mhm.
So I want to have this done by this week, this done by this week. And I think it just helps. Summer is long, but also really short. I think it's one of those things that's like, oh, we have so much time. And then like, oh wow, it's over. So
Mhm.
saying, okay, this day I'm going to work on this week I'm going to work on this week. And I think it helps you to be able to spread things out because you may be looking at a list of 25 different essays that you have to write, which can be overwhelming. And then schedule time for fun. Maybe you have a family weekend planned or, something that's going on, a concert, like put it all. I'm a very visual person. So if you just have it all out there that you can see, I think it sets students up for success.
And, evaluate those goals like from week to week too. Make sure that you are being productive, you are checking those things off the list. And I've had some like families who maybe did have unrealistic goals. I had one like dad who was absolutely insistent that everything was going to be done by like September 1st. And this girl had, I think, like 45 schools on her list. And I was like, from the beginning, I was like, this is not going to happen. Your daughter is a really hard worker, but just realistically, based on things that might change after August 1st, 1 month to do it all is probably not going to happen. We get to September 1st. She does not get it done, but she was working hard and it was, we were in a good place anyway. Did get all her applications in, but by the end of the cycle, he's like, oh, you know what, Lindsay, I should have listened to you. You were totally right. We could never have gotten it all done by September 1st. And so that's what our goal is too here for you is to set those goals for you, kind of set those milestones and make sure that you do get to the finish line at the end of the day.
I guess other than that, just like the title of this says, kickstart it. Like, let's go. Let's get into high gear. This is the time. We've been talking about it. We've been planning for it, but this is the moment. And
Yes.
ready to go.
All your hard work is kind of culminating to this moment. So don't give up now. All right, everyone. I think that's it for us this week on how to kickstart your summer as a 2026 applicant. If you do have any questions, you can always reach us out to us at moonprep.com and schedule a free consultation call to figure out how we can help you use your summer more effectively. But to get more free advice about BSMD and undergrad admissions, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be back in a couple weeks.